feel like I have to start any and all movie news with just nothing but screaming. Everything coming out of this movie is just the best thing ever, and today's V-Jump is no exception. This month has revealed character designs for Goku and Vegeta, along with their Super Saiyan forms, but we also got Piccolo, Whis, and Beerus. Without further ado then, ta-da! I barely even know where to start, there's just so much to take in here. I guess if we kick things off with Goku, then we'll go anti-clockwise around the rest of them. I think Goku is far and away the most interesting to analyze, since we of course already got that first promo shot of him holding Naohiro. This is actually quite different to that initial design, and for me that is 100% a good thing, because it's addressed the one thing I had an issue with in that first poster, and that was the feature placement. In the original Goku shot, Goku's face was squished a little bit vertically, with his nose and mouth sitting a touch too high up. I mentioned this back in my video of the initial reveal, and this was actually a minor complaint Yuya Takahashi had brought up when he first saw that poster too. Thankfully, that has been entirely addressed. The jaw has been pulled right down and the nose and mouth are significantly lower. It's a very small change in the grand scheme of things, but it shifted the design from already great to pretty much bang on perfect, and most importantly, very Toriyama and Dragon Ball-esque. The detailing on the muscles is also a little squarer, which I think brings it closer to conventional Dragon Ball, but it hasn't actually lost any of that cool, loose posture that I think makes Shintani's work so appealing. Posture is something that really got under my skin with the previous designs. They were really chunky and evenly weighted throughout the body, which is partly what resulted in that infamous stiffness that I always bring up in reference to those designs. With Toriyama's work and with the designs from the Z days, there was always this broad top that led down into long, sleek legs, and it gives off this powerful posture without actually sacrificing fluidity. I think that's most clear in these designs from the rear. The relaxed hand is such a fun detail. Again, you can see it in the profile shot. That is pretty much one-to-one with Toriyama's work in the Freezer arc of the manga. It's so surreal to be looking at modern Dragon Ball and seeing it look this attractive. I just hope this is the future of the franchise. I really do. If we scoot up to the Super Saiyan form now, we can see some very distinct differences. There was some debate when this first dropped as to whether it was really Shintani or just a promo artist adopting the same design, but I think with the inclusion of Vegeta along with everything else on this page, it's pretty certain that this is probably his work. I think what's actually kind of interesting is the very small difference between the first reveal of that image and this new one. There are no more highlights anymore. The first image had a couple on the muscles and face, but they are nowhere to be found in this new version. Whether that was something added last time or taken away this time, I don't know, but I think that's going to make a lot of people happy. There is a big hatred for highlights in this community, and I'm largely on their side. I do think when you're lit up by an aura like you are with Super Saiyan, it's actually the most appropriate time to use them, but we don't have an aura here, so this is nothing but a positive. Comparing this to the base design, the most distinctive difference is the muscle detailing. Goku is much bulkier, the muscles are much more defined. This is much more of a classic build for Goku. I think while I do prefer the softer approach to muscle definition, since I think it looks better in animation, this does again bring me back to the Freezer arc. Toriyama started drawing Goku with super defined muscles when he transformed. It was a fairly stark difference to the subtler detailing found in his base form, so again I do get the feeling that Shintani was hugely inspired by this era, and I think that's a fairly common line of thought in the fandom. That's definitely the era that everyone has been jumping to over the past few months, and given the subject matter of the movie, that definitely makes sense. Takahashi posted some fan art a few weeks ago, and I'm pretty sure it's based on these designs. Comparing the profile shot of base Goku to his work, it does seem very similar. We know he's working on the film in a big way, so if that's his little preview of his style on the film, then I think everyone is going to be exceptionally happy. Let's move down to Vegeta. This image is much smaller, unfortunately, so we'll have to wait until these go up in HD on the official website next week to really dive into the nuances of the design, but we can definitely talk about things on a more general level for now. So first and foremost, the color design is so cool. We have seemingly done away with the super bright blue and essentially gone one-to-one with the colors found in the Yo Son Goku special from 2008. Those are some of my favorite colors, and I think the fan base is very much with me there, so that is awesome to see. It also extends to his Super Saiyan form too, which goes really nicely with that subdued yellow we've got for the form now. No more obnoxiously bright bananas, thank God for that. In terms of build and posture, Vegeta is much stubbier, which is great. We have not seen that since Dragon Ball Z. I hope that means they've also adjusted the height differences between the two. With a lot of modern era Dragon Ball productions, their heights have gotten closer and closer, but as far as the manga goes and as far as Toriyama's modern designs go, they're still supposed to be pretty far apart in height. The muscle shapes are very distinctive. In the rear shot in particular, they're very square and defined, which is almost reminiscent of Ebisawa from Z, though obviously a good version of that. This actually makes sense proportionally. Again, if it wasn't clear already, these designs are really going after the hearts of manga fans. Vegeta has his big old forehead back again with lovely flowing hair. He looks almost right out of the Cell arc. It's a shame the resolution is too low to really make out his face, but he does appear to have pretty hefty eyebrows, and if you know me, that is pretty much everything I've ever wanted from a Vegeta design ever. I think if there's one thing I'm a little concerned about, it's the face shape and the slim neck in that front-on shot. I can't quite make out that jaw, but it seems a touch slim in comparison to the top of his head, and the neck doesn't really seem to flare out as it meets the body. The other shots look fine, especially the Super Saiyan one, so this is probably not an issue, but it's definitely the one thing I'm really desperate to see in HD before making up my mind. Next up is Piccolo, and this is probably my favorite of the bunch just because of how much I really hate Piccolo's design in the modern era. What I'm seeing here makes me so happy. If we zoom in on this close-up, you can see that the eyebrows jut out really far from the face, which just adds so much depth, and it's exactly the kind of thing that lends itself to those amazing intense close-ups that we saw in the original series. The more tapered jaw only adds to that approach too. The actual long shot isn't very different from Yamamuro's old design, but I think the differences that are there speak so much to the positive aspects of Shintani's work. The posture is so much more relaxed. The arm flows so naturally from the body, which is such a stark contrast to Yamamuro's, where it kind of comes out of the cape in what is pretty much a straight line. Moving on though, Whis is pretty much just Toriyama, and to be honest, Yamamuro's Whis design wasn't particularly different either. He's a very simple design in the first place, so it's kind of hard to mess him up. The biggest difference I can see Shintani has added is that Whis is a little less gangly. In the past, he's had quite a short torso and very long legs. He's been balanced out a bit here, and the roundness to his design has been left alone instead of being slightly angled up like in Yamamuro's work. This isn't the first time we've seen this approach actually. Shuichi Iseki in episode 16 of Super did a very similar thing, and I have always loved how Whis looked there, so this is pretty much ideal for me. Beerus is probably the most different of anyone. This looks nothing like Toriyama's designs, it looks nothing like Yamamuro's, which was pretty much one-to-one with Toriyama's anyway. This is a very soft take on the character, and I get the feeling it's gonna divide a lot of people. His look is much more subdued. The angles that made up his old design are absolutely nowhere to be found, instead replaced by curves and more relaxed features. Personally, I have to say I do really like this. I have always loved Tate's Beerus, which took a similar approach. It always felt appropriate to where Beerus is as a character now. I think it'll be interesting to see how versatile this can be. His old design was drawn with threatening vibes, obviously because of how he debuted in the series. This seems more geared towards his current docile personality, but I definitely love to see some expression sheets just to see how intense this can really look. We never know if there's going to be another Hakai scene. Again though, I am all for this. I think just because it's the most different though, it might be something that people latch onto. But that is pretty much it for each individual character, but I want to circle back around to these two Super Saiyan shots at the top of the page. I mentioned it very briefly earlier, but I'm so glad we're back to flowy Super Saiyan hair. I have never ever enjoyed the super segmented banana looking hair that's been all over modern Dragon Ball for like 2 decades now. It doesn't lend itself to animation, it doesn't look good to me, and the horrendously bright color design has only ever turned me off more. Seeing this lovely new shape design from Shintani is one of the greatest gifts of this movie. It mixes curves and angles, it's not overly defined, you can see the center of the hair, there's only the odd hairpiece here and there to imply depth. There's no layer upon layer of bananas, this looks like something that could feasibly move in the wind, and again, that is the most exciting part about these designs. They're not drawn with illustration in mind, they're drawn for animation, which is exactly what they exist for. We know that Shintani Shintani was picked by Akira Toriyama through an audition, and he was looking for someone with a great understanding of the human body, someone who could make characters look great standing from the front, which is notoriously difficult, and of course he wanted someone who could produce an attractively balanced design. Seeing all of this makes it immediately obvious why Toriyama went with him. This really does nail each and every one of those points. I am so excited to see the rest of the cast. Gohan's someone who hasn't been blessed by a nice design for a very long time now. So 1, let's hope he's in the film, and 2, let's hope his design is just as nice as everyone else's. Before we wrap things up, you may notice that these are also very different from the teaser trailer that we got. That was animated by Ryo Onoshi, and we learned later down the line that Shintani didn't correct him. So the current assumption is that teaser is actually really off-model from these sheets. I mention this because if anyone wasn't too convinced by that initial teaser, you may well still be in for a positive surprise when the film finally drops, and again, I do refer you back to Takahashi's fan art. V-Jump also brought about the news of a Dragon Ball Heroes promo anime. I'm going to save that for another video because we don't actually have all of the details right now, but I will say that it's not a proper anime, it's just a series of shorts presumably. It's probably where Yamamuro is, and it's not likely to affect this film's production in any meaningful way. But that is it for now. I'm so glad these designs are almost everything I wanted them to be. Please do let me know in the comment section below what your thoughts are for each of these characters. Are you as excited as I am? And if not, then let me know why. Be sure to rate this video, check out some of my Kamehacon coverage. I did a 40-minute panel all about why Super's animation struggled, and did a whole little bit about me walking around the convention and meeting different voice actors and whatnot, so definitely check that out if you haven't already. As always, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you next time.